When we think about making AI smarter, we usually picture building one single giant superbrain, right? But what if that's not the answer at all? What if the real key is assembling a team of specialized AI experts? Yeah, we're talking about a new approach that literally creates a collaborative dream team of AIs to solve really complex problems. And get this, they do it more accurately and efficiently than ever before. So let's break down how this AI dream team actually gets built and why it's already outsmarting some of the most powerful models out there.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into the big problem with today's AIs, why they're so single-minded. Then we'll jump into how you actually build this AI dream team. And maybe most importantly, how you pick the right captain for the job. After that, we'll uncover the secret to how these AIs actually know their own strengths, which is wild. Then we'll check out the team's report card. The results are pretty impressive. And finally, we'll see why this whole approach isn't just about being smarter, it's also about being way more efficient. Okay, so let's get right to it. Here's the core issue. Even the most powerful AI models we have today, they have blind spots. It's just baked into how they're trained. And the old solution, just throwing a bunch of identical AI copies at a problem, that just doesn't work. It's like putting a team of clones in a room together. All you're gonna get is an echo chamber, not real, creative problem solving. And this really shows what I'm talking about, the old way of doing things. On one side, you've got a single model just thinking step by step, all by itself. On the other side, you've got a team of clones trying to have a debate. But here's the kicker. If they all think the exact same way, you're never going to get any new ideas, right? It's this exact limitation that sets the stage for a totally new way of thinking. And that brings us to the solution, a really cool framework called Team of Thoughts. The name says it all. Instead of one AI or a team of clones, the big idea here is to build a dream team of different specialized AIs. Each one has its own unique skills, and they all work together to tackle one problem. So here's the basic rundown of how it works. Think of it like a real-world project. You've got a central manager, they call it the orchestrator, and it's basically the project lead. It gets a problem, figures out a game plan, and then brings in the right specialists from the team to do their part. Then it pulls all their contributions together to create the final answer. So let's dig a little deeper into that manager role, the orchestrator. This thing is really the brains of the whole operation. It's not just a glorified messenger passing notes back and forth. No, it's actively analyzing the task, figuring out exactly which specialists are needed, and then weaving all their different inputs into one solid, high-quality solution. And who's on this team that the orchestrator is managing? Well, they're called tool agents, and you can just think of them as the team's specialists. So you might have one that's a total math whiz, another that's a coding genius, and maybe a third that's amazing at creative thinking. The key is, each one is a totally different AI model with its own unique training and expertise. And this right here is the crucial part, this idea of heterogeneous models. Honestly, this is the secret ingredient. The real power of this team doesn't come from just telling one AI, hey, pretend to be a coder now. No way. It comes from using fundamentally different AI models that have genuinely different strengths and weaknesses. That's where the magic, the real innovation, happens. Okay, so you've got your team of specialists. Awesome. But every great team needs a great captain, right? So how do you pick the best AI to be the leader? And once you have that leader, how does it know who on the team is right for each task? This brings us to the system's two-part secret sauce. First, picking the right leader. And second, making sure that leader has a team that, get this, actually knows its own strengths. Let's actually start with that second part of the secret sauce, because it's a huge deal. Any great manager needs to know what their team is good at, right? Well, this system introduces a pretty radical idea. What if the AI agents could accurately assess their own skills and then report back to their manager? And this diagram really shows us how that works. Check it out. When a task comes in, the orchestrator doesn't just guess who to give it to. No, it actually consults these tool agent self-assessments, which are basically resumes written by the AIs themselves. It's wild. So based on those profiles, it picks the right agents for the job, and only then does it move forward. This whole idea of informed delegation is absolutely key to why the system is so successful. So the whole setup really boils down to this simple but super powerful two-step process. First, you calibrate the orchestrator. You basically test a bunch of different AIs to find the absolute best one for the manager job. Then second, you have each of the tool agents profile themselves. Each specialist agent literally writes its own resume by analyzing its own performance on different kinds of tasks.
Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? A self-aware AI dream team. But the big question is, does it actually work? Well, now we get to the payoff. Let's look at the hard data. Because the research shows this team of thoughts idea isn't just a fun concept, it is a massive breakthrough in performance. Just take a look at this table. It compares Team of Thoughts to another system called Agentverse, which uses a team of clones, so no diversity. And the difference is staggering. On a tough math benchmark, the accuracy jumps from 80% all the way up to over 96% with the Dream Team. And you see a similar huge leap on the coding test. It's so clear that diversity of specialists really, really pays off. And this bar chart makes it even clearer. Here we're comparing the team against a single, very powerful model working alone. On its own, that model does pretty well, gets about an 87% score, respectable. But when you put it in the team of thought system as the captain, that performance leaps a full 10 percentage points. In the world of AI, that is a massive, massive gain. Yeah, let's just let that number sink in for a second. 96.67% on a really competitive math benchmark. Look, this isn't just a small step up. This is a state-of-the-art result. It basically proves that a well-managed team of specialists can solve problems way more effectively than even a single genius AI working by itself. But wait, there's more. And this might actually be the most important part of the whole thing. The system isn't just more accurate, it's also way, way more efficient. It's getting these incredible results without just burning through a ton of computational power, which for any real-world use is a huge deal. So the bottom line is this. You're getting top-tier, state-of-the-art results, but at a fraction of the cost. The paper actually says it can be an order of magnitude cheaper than other methods, where you have every agent trying to solve the entire problem. That's just incredible. So how does it pull this off? Well, it's two main things. First, something called agent parallelism. Since all of the specialists are independent, they can work on their piece of the puzzle at the same time, no waiting around. And second, it's got strategic token allocation. The orchestrator is smart about its budget. It only calls up the agents it actually needs, and it can even ask for short, to-the-point answers, which saves a ton of computational resources. So when you put it all together, what this really points to is a pretty fundamental shift in how we should be thinking about advanced AI. Maybe the goal isn't to build that one, single, all-knowing superbrain. Maybe the future is actually building a collaborative society of specialized AI agents. And that leaves us with a pretty big and fascinating question. If we have this AI dream team ready to go, what's the first huge world challenge we should ask them to tackle?